students. Today we are going to take chapter number 14 on bread making for FN 391 course. As you have prepared bread many a times in the practical classes and you know the various ingredients which are used for bread making, for example, maida, that is flour, that is very essential. Without yeast you cannot ferment the or proof the bread. Similarly, salt, similarly water to develop the gluten. All these flour, water, yeast, salt, they are called essential ingredients for bread making. If any of these ingredients is missing, you cannot make the bread. Then there are some ingredients which are optional. You may or you may not use them in bread making. For example, sometimes you use more of the sugar, more of the skim milk powder, milk and milk products. You can add oxidants, you can add improvers, you can add various enzymes, malted grains, surfactants, additives, preservatives to preserve the bread. All these are optional. Number one, the ingredient which is very important for bread making is wheat flour. And you all know that wheat flour has to be of good protein quality. It must have 11 to 13% protein content, otherwise that from the soft wheat flour bread prepared will not be good. And the gluten content of the wheat flour should be good. If it is not there, then we can add gluten to that flour. And the baker should use the flour which should have some of the good characteristics, for example, color, strength, tolerance, high absorption power, uniformity. These are some of the characteristics which you look for in the flour. Color, I mean, whenever you select the flour, that should have the creamy appearance, that should not have any bran segments. If there is a bran, your color of the bread will not be good. Moreover, it will contain certain mineral contents and the gluten strength will not be good. Therefore, the bread which you will get, that will have a dead white crumb. You will not get the golden color on the crumb. And similarly, if bleaching agents are added in the flour or maturing of the flour is done for some months, then this can contribute towards the control of degree of creaminess. That means the color should be good. Next point which is very important, which one should look for in the flour, is that is strength of the flour. Flour can be weak or it can be strong. It depends upon the protein content of the flour. And you will get a bold, large volume of the bread. You will get well risen, upstanding loaf if the strength of the flour is good. And if the strength is good, if protein content is more, then it can withstand fermentation. Otherwise, it will collapse. The loaf which will not withstand the fermentation will collapse. You will get low volume of the bread. Therefore, the bread should retain the molded form. It should withstand fermentation. It should be of good strength. The next characteristic is tolerance. That is, from tolerance also means the flour which can withstand the fermentation process. That means during the fermentation, you know, carbon dioxide gas is produced. It creates pressure and the flour should be tolerant enough to withstand this pressure of the gas, and it should produce a satisfactory volume of the loaf over a period of time. And then high absorption. High absorption of what? High absorption of water. Water absorption also depends upon the type of the flour. If you take soft wheat flour, when you take water for kneading the flour, it will be less amount. But if you have to prepare a dough from the hard wheat flour, you will require more water. And in most of the bread formula, you have seen that you have to use about 58 to 60% water, and therefore you require good quality, good protein quality flour for bread making. Otherwise, what will happen? If the water absorption is less, you will not get good volume of the bread, and gluten strength will also be not good, and therefore both the quantity and the quality of the protein to produce a good quality bread loaf is very important, and it can be judged from the water absorption capacity of the flour. Then gas production is another very important aspect of bread making, and for this purpose the flour should have good diastatic activity. Diastase is an yeast, and diastase activity is activity of that very yeast, and it depends upon the diastase enzyme present in the flour, because if this enzyme is present in the flour, it will convert starch into sugar or glucose. And the flour which we are using, this should have a good diastatic activity also. It should contain diastase enzyme in sufficient amount. Next ingredient is wheat. In the wheat bread is the water. Without water, you cannot dissolve the various ingredients which are used in bread making. In the practicals, you have seen that in some amount of water you dissolve sugar and then yeast. Similarly, another dry ingredients, they all can be dissolved in water, and then the dough can be prepared for the bread. And therefore it is a very, very essential ingredient, because without it you cannot develop gluten from gliadin and glutenin present in the wheat flour. And therefore the flour proteins are hydrated in the presence of water only. Then the second function of water is that it controls the temperature of the dough. For example, in summer months, you don't require the temperature of the dough to go beyond 27 degrees centigrade. Therefore, the water which you have to use for dough making, that can be somewhat cold, so as to maintain the temperature near to 27 degrees centigrade. In winter months, when the water is very cold, you can take lukewarm water. That means according to the temperature of the water, you can regulate the temperature of the dough, because it has to be near about 27 degrees centigrade, which is the optimum temperature for the growth of yeast. If the temperature of the dough is around 27 degrees centigrade, yeast will grow and multiply. It will create fermentation properly. Then water is also important for activating the enzymes present in the flour. Some of the enzymes, amylases, lipases, diastases, they are present in the wheat flour, but they are in the dormant condition. When you add water to the flour, then these enzymes become active and they make the bread palatable. The water present in the dough makes the bread palatable. It keeps the bread moist for a longer time. You can keep the bread moist for about 2 to 3 days, even if it is kept at the room temperature. But if less water is added, your bread dough will be hard, you will get less volume, its shelf life will be less. But too much water is also not required. It has to be according to the bread formula. The water which you have to use for bread making, it should be fit to drink, it should not have any contaminants, it should not have any disease causing bacteria, because you know that it's a great solvent, it can dissolve all the minerals in it, and therefore the minerals, they have good effect on the gas production, and because the yeast which is producing carbon dioxide, it requires certain minerals also, and these minerals come from the water. But too hard or too soft water is not good. Hard water, they will have more of the minerals. We don't have to use this kind of water because it will not have a good effect on the gluten development. It will have a tightening effect, and therefore it will inhibit the fermentation, it will retard the fermentation. But on the other end, if you use very soft water which doesn't contain many minerals, then again it is not good for proper gas production and gas retention in the dough. Gas retention power of the dough will be low if you use soft water. Therefore you require medium water, medium hard water, not much or not very low mineral content in the water. If you have medium hard water for dough making, it will give you excellent results. Next ingredient is salt. Salt, you know, we add in the beginning along with the wheat flour and milk powder, etc. when making the dough. We don't want that salt should come into direct contact with the yeast, because it hinders the growth or multiplication of the yeast. But at the same time, we want to add salt to give taste to the bread. It brings about the taste of other ingredients used in the bread. It is also responsible for giving a good flavor and characteristics of the bread. Therefore, at the same time, as I've said, that it has a controlling effect on the yeast. Therefore, it can check the rate of gas production. Therefore, you have to add salt in the beginning, and after mixing the ingredients for 1 to 2 minutes, after that you add yeast, so that yeast doesn't come in direct contact with the salt. The purpose of salt is to make the dough stronger. It acts as a toughener besides giving flavor and taste to the bread. Therefore, it improves the gas retention power of the dough also. It improves the grain and texture of the breadcrumb. The salt is very important in the bread formula. It is essential ingredient. And you know, it is hygroscopic in nature. It can absorb moisture very easily. Therefore, its function is to keep the bread moist, fresh for longer time. And it indirectly has an effect on the color of the bread also by regulating the activity of the yeast. If you add less salt in the bread formula, then what will happen? Yeast activity will increase. More sugar, more starches will be converted into sugar. If more sugar, that means more of the caramelization. You will get the crumb of the color, breadcrumb color, very dark because of these sugars. And if the salt content is more, then also you will find it will inhibit the growth of the yeast. Yeast will not be able to convert starches into sugars, less caramelization, you will get dead breadcrumb color. Therefore, too much salt and too less salt. both are not desirable, and therefore we have to use a particular percentage of salt. It is generally 1 to 2% of the flour weight. If you take 100 parts bread flour, then you have to use about 2% salt, not more than that, and not less than 1%. Then comes another ingredient, that is sugar. Sugar, you know that it is the nutrient for the yeast. Sugar is the food for the yeast, and we have to keep sugar in the sugar solution for some time so that it becomes active. Therefore, it is the source of energy for yeast activity. Then only the yeast can produce carbon dioxide required during the fermentation process, proofing process, and this gas is responsible for giving a particular crumb texture, or you can say that it raises the dough fabric that is essential for giving important volume to the bread. Then sugar also enhances the taste. It also gives a particular flavor due to caramelization. Texture, grain of the bread, it becomes smooth, it becomes fine when you add sugar. And sugars, what is the action of the sugar besides this flavor, texture, etc.? It delays the gelatinization of starch, and therefore it delays the denaturation of proteins. The sugar which we add in the bread formula, this is consumed by the yeast in very less time, and then the requirement for sugar is fulfilled by the diastase enzyme present in the wheat flour. We have to provide sugar in sufficient amount for the vigorous and sustained gas production by yeast during the bread making process. But again, there is a particular percentage. We can't add more than that or less than that. The flour must have sufficient diastase activity, and in the presence of sugar and diastase activity, you will get good oven rise in the bread during the baking process. Again, we add about 1 to 2% sugar on the flour basis. For example, if it is 100 parts bread flour, then we add 1 part or up to 2 parts of the sugar. But in the sweet breads, sometimes we add more than that. Then another ingredient is fat. You know that whenever we make the bread dough, we always add fat at the end, because if you add fat in the beginning, it will restrict the growth of the yeast, and therefore it will retard the fermentation of bread flour or yeast. It will retard the fermentation of the dough, and it keeps the bread moist. Therefore, it gives besides improving shelf life, it gives taste and a particular flavor to the bread which is desirable. And besides, if you don't add any fat in the formula, you will find the bread will be dry and it is not very tasty. And besides that, it has a lubricating effect on the gluten structure. And what happens because of this, that it gives extensibility to the dough. You can improve the extensibility of the dough by adding this fat, and it will improve ultimately the bread volume. It will give softness to the bread. Sliceability becomes easy because of the fat content. But only precaution is that you have to add fat at the end of bread making. Then Glycerol monostearate. This is emulsifying agent. This acts as the surfactant. It emulsifies the water and oil. Sometimes the quantity of fat is reduced in the formula, and we compensate less fat by adding GMS, that is an emulsifier. And if it is to be added, then GMS to be added along with the fat. GMS is a very good strengthener. It enhances the gluten. It makes the gluten extensible. Extensibility of gluten is improved. Absorption and dispersion of water in the bread formula or in the dough improves, and you will get more loaves per batch by adding GMS. Texture of the bread. You will get very fine texture, uniform crumb structure because of addition of GMS. Similar like fat, it will also keep the bread slices soft and fresh for a longer time. Another optional ingredient is milk. Milk, you know that from the nutrition point of view, it's a good source of nutrients like protein, calcium, and this generally we add dry milk powder in the bread formulas, but we can use in the liquid form also or in the dry solid form. It is optional. And in liquid form, when we use, you know that it has two parts. One is water and second is total solids. About 87 to 88% of milk is water, and rest is the total solid content. The total solid, they consist of fat, proteins, ash, lactose in varying amounts. When you are using liquid milk, then you have to take into consideration while calculating the water content to be added. That will have to be reduced because the water will come from the liquid milk also. But if you are adding dry milk powder, then you don't have to. You have to use the amount of water which has been given in the formula. What is the function of milk in the bread formula? It acts as a toughener, or it acts as a tenderizer, and no, it is not a tenderizer, it is not a toughener. But when it combines with other ingredients of the bread formula, then it contributes to this tenderness also, toughness also to the bread loaf. Alone it is not. Milk solids which are present, they have binding effect on the flour protein. Therefore, they have toughening effect. Lactose present in the milk, that controls the crust color, caramelization, and it improves the flavor of the bread, and it helps to retain moisture content in the bread. Therefore, there are various advantages of using the milk solids so as to increase the absorption and dough strengthening, and mixing tolerance that gets improved. You can have fermentation for a longer time, you can have a better crust color, then you can have better grain and texture of the bread loaf, loaf volume is increased, shelf life of the bread is improved, and above all you get better nutrition when you add milk solids in the bread. Yeast, you know, is a very, very important agent. Without it, you cannot make bread. Scientifically, its name is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. It is a source of various enzymes, zymases, lipases, proteases, invertase, maltase. All these are different enzymes present in the yeast. What happens when you add yeast in the bread formula? It produces carbon dioxide gas. through the action of the enzymes. And during fermentation, some amount of alcohol and some acids are also produced which help to soften the gluten, mellow down the gluten. And because of it, you get stretchability of the dough, extensibility, stretchability of the dough. And the acids produced during fermentation, they add to the flavor of the bread. And to have good action of yeast, you should add sugars. Besides that, nitrogen, vitamins, mineral contained in the formula should be in sufficient amount. We can use both kinds of yeast. You can use fresh yeast as you use in the practical classes nowadays. You can use dry yeast also. There is dried active yeast, there is dried instant yeast, compressed yeast. This has 30% solids. You can store for about 4 weeks under refrigerated conditions, which has a temperature of about 20 degree centigrade. It should, before making the bread, you should always look that the yeast which you are taking, it is not having any contaminant and it is active. You should do the pop test and then you should use it in the bread making. There is another option of using the bread improvers. Sometimes improvers like potassium bromate, potassium iodate, ascorbic acid, calcium peroxide. These are the various bread improvers which you can add in the formula. And this improvement is brought about by the action of oxygen of an air on the flour protein, and proteins form a better gluten. The improvers, they help to add oxygen into the dough, and therefore they cause bleaching of the flour also when you use these for maturing the flour. They both act as the improvers also and as the maturing agents or bleaching agents also. You must remember the names of these bread improvers, bleaching agents or maturing agents, because sometimes they are asked for in the fill in the blanks or true or false. They are very important for improving the strength of gluten in the formula to have good quality bread loaf. Then in the commercial breads, preservatives are also added. You should know the name of the preservative, calcium propionate and acetic acid. They are generally used to prevent or inhibit the growth of fungi or mold, to improve the quality of the bread. These were the various ingredients which I have told you for making the bread. Essential ingredients, optional ingredients. You must know the characteristics of each of these ingredients, their functions, and when they have to be added, what is the proportion of various ingredients which are generally used in the bread making. This is very essential. Thank you so much.